Girl, oh my gosh, it's great to be back. I mean, I feel really honored. Two shows, my goodness. Thank you for having me. Thank you for
Thank you
having
for doing that for free, though.
me. You are naughty. I'm gonna send you a check in the mail now.
Yeah, send me a check.
No, you're gonna send me a check in the mail. I'll send you the bill.
So, Raji, I just want to discuss or revisit a conversation that we had the other day when you asked me about what happened to Laverne Cox, that
Yeah.
allegedly she was a victim of some transphobic incident in the park in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
So I just want to hear again, what is your opinion on that? What is your opinion?
I just feel like it's a shame that we still have to go through this in 2020 here in America. As much as we have progressed, I still think, there's a lot more, I would say a lot more to go. Like we need to continue to progress. And it depends on where you are in America too. Now, I was shocked to hear that this happened in LA. I would have like believed it more if it was Alabama, or no offense to anyone in Alabama, but you know what I'm saying, because especially in the rural part of this country, I would think that you get that more. But that goes to show you never know. And listen, we're here in America, but I never forget the transgender women around the world that are living in.
Actually, she kind of talked about the times that she had been harassed in New York City and things, New York City and walking, especially in the beginning of her transition. So probably this kind of gave her some kind of backlash or, some kind of bad memories. Um, but that's about the extent of how I feel about that, because the other is like, you know, there was just someone that asked the question. And at times I feel that trans women in particular are too sensitive about things like that, you know? Because like, and I'm gonna give an example that I have used in the past many times. My mother had a very deep voice. She had a very deep voice, and people in the phone sometimes they will call the house and they will think that she was my father, which is actually he was the opposite. He had a high pitched voice,
Wow.
so there was always this kind of not always, but most of the time there was kind of confusion and stuff. And my
Mhm.
mother would laugh it off.
Yeah.
She'll be calling someplace, okay, sir, and she laughed and she said, no, I'm sorry, and if it's funny because I feel that in the way my father has a son which also has a high pitched voice, and then I
Mhm.
kind of have my mother's voice in a way. So I draw into that um experience to know that yeah, it could have been ill-intended, but again, thank God she wasn't harmed or anything. Kind of bullying, if we're gonna call it that way, it kind of happens sometimes both ways. Because I remember, I think it was like a year ago that you were facing some kind of aggression in one of your trips, and you went to Facebook and talked about it, and you did express yourself the same way that you would have expressed yourself at the moment, which is you're mad. And I found it, I mean, I didn't see it originally. Somebody contact me and say, hey, so and when I saw it, it's like, oh, okay, I could understand her being angry and responding this way. But then the backlash that you got from the Black trans community was surprising, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you hit it on the head. I was very hurt and I was angry about the incident. Here it is, I'm going about my merry way. It's New York City. It's not like it's like, like I said, Mississippi or Alabama or somewhere like that. It's New York City, where everyone, there's all types of people in New York City. And I'm walking through the airport, and it was these three, one, two, no, four African American workers, two men and two girls, or two women. And they worked in the airport.
Mm.
As soon as they saw me, oh my God, the laughing, they just burst out in laughter. Now, this is in a busy terminal, okay? And they start talking shit and calling me names. And I was embarrassed. Okay, first of all, listen, I'm not trying to be passable. I don't even know if it's possible for me to be passable. Although there are say is that it's just about me being myself, being who I am. And I'm walking through the airport trying to get to my flight, and I have to encounter this, not from fellow passengers, from employees of the airport. Okay. And not only was I embarrassed, I was angry, I was hurt. There were so many different emotions. PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, because we're not talking about this was the first time it happened to me. From 4 years old, they were bullying me and beating me up and calling me names and stuff. And I've had three violent attacks in my life. When I say violent, I'm talking about where I literally got beat up, and because I was targeted because I'm trans, for being trans. So when stuff like that happens, right away my guards go up, and it's like it triggers like the past experiences that I had, negative experiences, and I'm like almost like, oh shit, do I have to be in fear for my life? So I came home, and I tried to contact the airport because they told me, they gave me the address to where I had to send, the letter. So I did that. But then I was so angry and fuming about what happened. And anyone that knows me knows that I go and do my videos. I do my video. I took this topic to Facebook. And they say when you're angry, maybe you should like wait a day and then do a video. I didn't wait a day. I did the video when in my anger, and I started cussing. I used the N word. And what I said basically is, they were acting like park apes, okay, like animals, as opposed to acting like you're someone at a job working at the airport. And I said like they were ignorant N words, okay. But in the video, I said, but listen, I'm someone of color. I have black in me. I'm not a racist. How could I even be a racist? Because I'm multiracial. I'm not white. So how could I be a racist? I'm not racist, but I was angry. Well, then I posted it, and all hell broke loose.
I mean, I'm just going back to that moment. Again, I didn't see it in real time. I just saw it afterward because somebody called me and say, hey, watch what's happening. But
Yeah.
I don't understand, why do you think, because most of the people that retaliated against you
Hmm.
were people from the Black community.
Yeah.
And why do you think they did that? Why do you think they felt, instead of concentrating of the trauma of what you went to, they just took these two events or these two statements that you made in the video to attack you, to victimize you again?
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry. But you saying that, like, it just really, it reminds me of how hurt I was. I was really hurt because I kept thinking, like, wait a minute, like, what about me being a trans woman who was basically, um, you know, abused, verbally abused in the airport, and I encountered transphobia. That all went out the window. No one said, "Are you okay?" Like, "Are you okay, Raji?" I have been in this community for many, many years, and it's like people didn't know me. I'm like, come on, you all know the person I am. Like, really? And it was almost like, let's wait, oh, perfect. There's something we can use to bring her down. There's something we can use to just bring her down. That's how I felt. Do I need to put more light on the subject, or do you want it brighter in here? Okay, great. So,
But after this event, did you
mm,
have an opportunity to talk to any of these individuals? Because you know these people.
I do. I know a lot of the people, and I'm going to tell you something. I got phone calls from a few of the trans girls in this community, the Black trans girls, who told me, they said, "Girl, you were not lying. You were telling the truth in that video," and supported me secretly, but they would not do it publicly. Would not do it publicly. Now, listen, we can get into race and culture and all of that. I thought the blood in you, you can use the word. Like, if you're perceived as a person of color, that word it doesn't have the impact that if I was white, I said that word would have had. And it was just in the moment of anger. It was just in the moment of anger. I've heard it growing up, and you hear it all the time on the radio and in the streets. Nick, oh, I was getting ready to say the word.
Don't say it. Don't say
N
it.
N word, N word, N word, N word, N word. Okay, so I used it in a video talking about how I was attacked in a moment of anger, and this is this is how I'm treated, like, by the community. And it was almost like, oh, so what? So what?
Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about those individuals that privately contacted you, but yet did not defended you when this was happening?
Okay. So I appreciate it. I have to say, I appreciated the fact that they did at least call me and secretly, one on one, tell me that, hey, I wasn't lying. I was basically speaking the truth. That I appreciated that. But I would have loved if, like, some people, like, vocally said it. You know what I mean? If, like, some people came to my defense, and said it. And listen, this isn't me, like, trying to now lash out at the community or anything. I'm just speaking about what happened to me and how I felt in the moment, and so I'm talking real, and I'm talking about the feelings that I had. But I just felt like, damn, like, all the work that I've done in this community, and, like, people, don't they know my heart? Like,
But that brings me to another question. When some of these organizations were at first forming themselves and reach out to you, do you think that they used you?
girl, you always get to the nitty gritty. You're good at this, girl. Okay. I will say that there was a time where I felt like I was being pulled in so many directions, and, like, almost like everyone wanted a piece of me or wanted to use a piece of me. But I will say this too: activism is in my blood. Like, I'm a born activist. And so when I do these things for the community or different organizations in the community, I do it from my soul. I do it from my heart because I believe in the movement. And I definitely want to leave. I want to leave this world better than I found it for our people. And that's what I tried to do. You know, when I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to be like woulda, coulda, shoulda. I want to know that I tried to do something. I tried to do something about the oppression and the discrimination and the injustice that we transgender people deal with. So, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but I'm speaking from my heart, girl. I'm speaking from my heart. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
It's just I don't know, sometimes I feel like people don't really, you can try until you're blue in the face to convince people that you're sincere or that you mean well. It's just sometimes people just aren't going to see it.
So do you think that based on this experience, you should be
My
a little bit
makeup must look horrible.
it looks
It's a
good, it
good
looks
thing.
good.
It's a good thing you told me to turn the light down. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Based on this experience, you think that you should be more discerning of on where do you put your time? Because it is I understand you want to be an activist, you want to be do things better and what have you. But there are times that we need to um evaluate where we're putting that time
You're right.
because you could just spread yourself too thin and
Yes.
you might think that you are doing something, but at the end of the day, you are not.
You
And then
know,
on
I,
top of that, you're being disrespected.
you know what, Yahada? That's one of the big lessons that came out of this. You said it. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else.
Hmm.
And one thing that I learned from this experience was, you know what? I constantly wanted to give of myself and give of myself and give here and give there. But I learned that you can't always do that because there's going to be places that you give and give and give. And no matter how much you give, it's not appreciated. Now, don't get me wrong. I continue to give because that's the person I am. But I'm very, very conscientious about where I give my time and energy and effort. And I'm a lot more conscientious about that, and that it's going to be appreciated and valued. So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, and
And when the incident happened, we talked about this, and I and I told you you should have waited to that video
you did.
because I could understand at the heat of the moment of the anger and the pain and what and everything that you were going through. You opened your mouth and said this the first thing that came to mind, but not everyone is going to understand that. And
I
that's why when
mean,
you go into doing this videos and things, you have to make sure that you take your time, you think about it, and measure your words because people, especially in social media, they're going to take them and use them to attack you
yeah.
because they want to take the spotlight.
You know what it is too? It's like I was so sick of taking the freaking high road. Like I'm always, if you look at most of my videos, I'm always very conscientious about what I say, and a lot of the videos that I do are positive and uplifting videos and stuff. So, in this one time in the heat of the moment, and in my anger, I talk just spontaneously about how hurt I was about people at the airport at their job calling me horrible names. So that's right. I used the N word. I was so angry. I'm like, if they have license to call me out of my name, well then, I felt like, well, okay, you ignorant N word. And you know, and it's, I understand, I totally agree with what you just said, because you're right. People will take things out of context and use it against you. I understand that. And that's another lesson I learned from that. But I'm just explaining how I felt. Like, I felt like, hey, they had totally disrespected me in a terminal in front of like so many people. Okay. But what, I was supposed to just suck it up? Oh, okay. You know, like I was supposed to just like suck that up. Listen, there's a lot of stuff I let roll off my back. I go out into society, and I encounter shit. I hear people saying off, you know, negative comments and look at, but I don't. You pick and choose your battles. I don't get into a confrontation with everyone or do a video about every negative experience. And you know what? I'm sorry. If any other girl, all those people that had something to say about my video, I bet you if they went through that, they would have been hurt. I bet you they would have been upset. See, it's, you know what I'm saying. But anyway.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand, and you're right to feel angry and hurt because it really was a moment where you had no support, moment that you put yourself there vulnerable. But I just want to go back to something that you said in reference to your videos, because I think it's interesting to revisit that. She looked at me like, what is she gonna say now?
Honey, you're full of surprises. I'm wondering what's coming out next.
Yes. Um, because you said that, most of your videos are very cheerful, very happy, and things, that you never have any video that is, um, I guess, negative.
Well, no, I wouldn't say never, but I would say percentage wise, I would say about 80, 85% of my videos are like positive, uplifting, funny videos. Oh,
You are in
sometimes,
touch with your emotions. That's what
oh,
I'm trying. Because when you said that, what I understood, and the second thing you're clarifying this to me, is that you're trying to cover up whatever emotions that is that you're going through that are uncomfortable by doing funny videos and what have you. Because I don't watch, I don't see all, your videos to be.
I know. You're like, I can't take that bitch. I'll just talk to her on the phone. No, well, okay. So we human beings, right? We're many sides.
Yeah, but that's exactly why, because that's why I'm saying this, because we are human beings. So we do have several emotions going through ourselves. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes, we're funny, sometimes we don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking that, because it just gave me the impression that most of your videos are just simply the funny, happy Raji instead of, personality that you are, showing all the emotions.
Yeah. Well, I would say, like I said, about 80 to 85% are like the funny, positive, spiritual, Raji-licious type of video. But I do have videos where I get on like politics, something I went through as in my childhood, um, sharing different stories that can bring out my other emotions, like my sadness and my anger and stuff. I would say that the video we're talking about, the airport incident, that's a rare video for me. That I might have maybe done like one or two other ones like that in since I've been doing videos on YouTube and Facebook. But it was just in my anger. The one time I did a video about this guy at Publix that was like, but it wasn't as bad as that when I didn't use the N word and stuff, but I was talking about how ignorant he was. But yeah, so, and the reason why too is I guess because for the most part, the things I do, I want to impact the world like in a positive, uplifting way. That's why I do more of those type of videos. But don't get me wrong, I'm a multifaceted person. I mean, I will do videos on other topics. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that you are revisiting all your emotions and
Yes, of
acknowledge all
course.
of them.
Of course. You made me cry like Oprah. What are you talking about? I was very emotional. You made me cry like Oprah.
So going back to those individuals, have you been in contact with any of those individuals that kind of
There,
reacted so negatively to your video?
yeah. Okay, so the one I would say,
No
not the ones,
names.
not the ones that reacted very negative. They don't really have much to do with me. There were ones that were kind of like on the fence about it. Those and the ones that were secretly supporting me, I'm in contact with them. And we're cool and everything's fine. But there were some that were just very turned off by it, and they don't really have much to do with me anymore.
Okay, well, I'm sure you don't want to do anything with them anymore either.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when people move away from you, it's a blessing too. So
Yeah, but some of these people, some kind of mission, because it wasn't just with you, though. I noticed with other people, they got into these conversations of racial issues and stuff, which I thought it was a little bit ridiculous. And a friend of yours, known, let's not mention any names,
right.
was involved in a couple of those. Actually, she was involved also in this one.
Think in some ways my video and like me expressing myself was kind of used as like a pawn for other agendas, that
Hmm.
things that were already going on, and then I kind of got in the mix there. And yeah, so because you're right, I totally no, not mentioning any names, I totally know the people you're talking about, and they were having debates and stuff prior to that, and then here I post my video, and this was a perfect, video to start commenting and going back and forth. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was a very interesting dynamic. Because I have seen this kind of, I don't even know how to describe it because I saw it before in some of the pages, and then it went to yours, and I was like, okay, I don't understand this. These people, should I go and give them some therapy or something?
Oh my God. Listen, I've been in therapy for years, honey. You know what? I think it's important for all people at some point in their life to go talk to a therapist. Because,
I
we all have
know,
trauma.
I know. That's why I'm being a therapist.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, let me ask you. So, I know you're the host, but this question came to my mind. So, for the most part, you understood like that my feelings were hurt, right? You
I
understood.
understood. I listen. I in that moment that they feel that they're being attacked. It's a human condition. You're being attacked. You feel attacked. You feel violated. And
Mhm.
you maybe you feel in that you're not saved. So
Yeah,
you're going to retaliate or find any tool that is available to you to kind of defend yourself. And at
right,
times,
right.
those are words that you may not use in your normal circumstances, but at that moment, that's the weapon that you have available.
Yeah, and you know what?
And it could have been that word, it could have been the F word, it could have been the T word. I mean,
Yeah,
I could understand that because, I think that we all have been in that position where we feel threatened and we don't know what to do at that moment. So the first reaction is to use our voice and
yeah,
say words that, so
exactly.
I understood where you're coming from. I didn't take it as you being malicious or being racist or anything like that. Um, but at the same time, I was like, she should have taken a moment to get herself together before she did this video. And as I told you, I feel that people sometimes they just say, okay, let's do a video.
Yeah.
And they just open their mouth and things without thinking about them.
Well, when we talked about it, when it, back when it happened, you did say, "Girl, Like, did you didn't take a day or so to like, you just did that video, right? And I said, yeah. And you were like, let me tell, giving me words of advice. You said, when you're angry like that, don't do it right then. Like, let yourself cool off a little bit and really think about it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I never forgot that. I never forgot.
Yeah, you have to take some time, especially when you're doing social media. Like
Yeah.
when you are going through those emotions, you're not going to think clear. And we all know this. I mean, it's like when you're having a fight with a partner or somebody, you kind of try to take a break, a moment, because you know that you're going through a lot of emotions, that things could come out that are not going to be beneficial, that are not going to be exactly how you feel, you
Exactly.
know. So yes, that is something that when it comes to, you like to post those videos, and it's best to take a moment and say, okay, let me stay away from the camera, think about this.
Well, you know what? I'm still Rajee Narinesingh. I'm still here in the community doing my outreach and, doing my thing, the Pride Center. I mean, just I've been all over the community and I continue to do that. But, I didn't get run off. I didn't run out of town. I stood my ground.
No, I mean, you're not gonna get run off or anything like that, but it was a difficult moment, that although it didn't destroy you, but it did make you feel,
I was very hurt. I
yeah,
was
you were
very
hurt.
And I cried. I cried in my bed a few nights because I just felt like, my God, like, don't people know who I
But
am?
let me ask you this question. Why do you think is this tension between the black people and people of color? I mean, what is that about? What is
I
that
think
tension about?
there's a few things. I think it's cultural, like in the sense of like how you grow up, the community that you grow up in.
Mhm.
So I communicate maybe differently than some of the other girls. So that makes me different. And that makes them maybe feel like, oh, well, I'm not the same, I'm different. I also, throughout the years, I believe that light skin, dark skin thing plays a role too. Because if you're someone that maybe is lighter skinned and there's some mixture about you, I think that the African American girls don't consider you completely one of them. You know what I mean? Like and that's why that whole thing of people of color versus African American or Black American. Um, and there's other things that go into it, but I think those two things.
But
Uh,
let me ask you, you grew up where? Where did you grow up?
so I grew up in Philadelphia. I was born in New York. I was born in Brooklyn, and I grew up in Philadelphia, PA, Pennsylvania. I lived in Trinidad for when I was little with my mom for a little bit, but most of it when my mom, my dad was here working and stuff, so he sent my mom and I there for a while so I could be with my grandparents and stuff. But anyway,
Yeah, because I think the reason why I asked the question is because I think that in an urban community, like a city like New York, Pennsylvania,
yeah,
it's a different dynamic. I think the South is more segregated socially. In New York, you'll have black people with Dominicans, with Puerto Ricans,
right.
you'll have everybody kind of like
It's more of a
together.
melting pot. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like more like you could see people of color and what that meant
yeah,
versus the white people.
right, right.
But here it seems to be that it's not that way. You have the black, you have the Cubans, I mean, it's like it's all very segregated.
Yeah.
So do you think
Well,
that that has something to do with that?
well, let's not forget, girl, in this country, remember the North was free before the South.
It's time to go back into history at last. I think we have to go a history chat because I mean I understand what you're trying to say, but
I'm sorry, but yeah,
I understand what you're trying to say, but it's not historically accurate. So
yeah. Well, I mean, slavery was abolished in 19
yeah, yeah, yeah. Slavery
1867.
was abolished. Yes, that is
Yeah,
right. And then In the South, you got the Jim Crow, but you also
Right.
had some form of Jim Crow happening in the North. It wasn't
Oh,
as distinctly stuff in here, what have you.
oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm not
but I don't want to get into the history part because,
yeah.
like I say,
Well,
it's
and
a
don't get me
different
wrong,
topic.
but don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people in the North, people of color or Black people in the North didn't have struggles. I'm just saying it was more progressive up there than down here. That's what I'm saying. But anyway,
But I think that it's more than the racial dynamics. I think that it's more the fact that you're in a city, so you're in contact with different people,
yeah,
different backgrounds, different races, and so that makes you feel a little bit more united
maybe so. But
than in
South
here.
Florida is so diverse. You would think that they
Now
would
it is
be, yeah.
well, now it is more diverse, but it's more segregated.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. But yeah. So I think there's a lot of things that play into it, and because I mean, I'm gonna say this, like even the communication, like I know I don't talk maybe the way like some of the other girls, Black girls in the community talk, the ones that grew up down here, just because I didn't grow up down here. I grew up north. So, all the differences that I think sometimes can create a wedge.
Type of dynamic that is
Yeah.
different because you grew up in a city. So, it's a different, the city versus here was rural and what have you. And I mean, because I do see a lot of segregation here. You have, even in Miami, you have Venezuela living in one section, Cuba living in another section, Brazilian living in another section,
Dominican, yeah.
so, and that kind of limits the interaction that people have with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And opens the door to a lot of misunderstandings and stuff. So,
That's true.
I think it's almost time for us to end this conversation. But before we go, I'm thanking you for this. I just want to ask, do you have any kind of word of advice for anybody that might find themselves in the same position that you were?
Wow. Um, well, you might want to take a day or so to think about the video you're going to do or what you're going to post online, but still post something because it's important to speak up about injustice. I don't care. I don't care. We have to speak up because if we didn't, we wouldn't be where we are now. So it's important to and write that letter or call that customer service place and complain because that's important too. You have to call people out in their ignorance and their injustice and their unfair treatment. If not, they'll continue to do it. They'll continue to do it. So it's important to hold people accountable. But like I said, if you're going to do a video, don't do it when you're so angry. Wait a day or so and you cool down, and then you can talk a little more calmly.
Okay, Miss Rashi. Well, thank
Oh,
you so much. It was so nice to have you again.
thank you
And
so much for having me.
hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yes, I look forward to it. And you know what? Instead of paying me, just make me a beautiful outfit because I know you're so talented with that.
Listen, you've been getting free therapy from me for too long.
So in other words, you already paid me. Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Bye. Love, peace, and blessings, everyone.